They have
Amazing.
Labor Day in the States now.
I'm sorry.
I know. Labor Day. I know
When is
it's
it? I
Labor
think
Day.
Labor Day I think is in like September, so it's
Oh,
in a
for you guys.
while.
Oh, okay.
I think so, yeah. If I yeah,
'Cause
September
yeah,
1st.
here in the UK, I've got a long weekend now because of Labor Day.
Oh, I see. No. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just it's springtime. Spring just happened. The weather's nice. Maybe people are feeling up for travel.
Oh
Mm.
yeah, that's always a good motive.
Nice. So sorry I'm late. What can you guys catch me up real quick?
Sure. Pete, kick it off.
Okay, we were just talking about the IDE that we put together for Codealia. Unfortunately, it's not 100% yet. What we've got so far is these two workshops, Workshop 1 and Workshop 2. Uh,
Okay.
let's wait for that page to load.
All right, you had an agenda, Pete. Perhaps we can bring that up.
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to demo the two workshops that we've been working on, and then go over the what's been completed and what's still to do.
Okay.
And we will then do a high-level overview of our vision for the Codealia course. We've separated it into two themes, which are passion and foundation. And passion is all about developing. Well, Thomas, do you want to talk about the passion?
Oh, it was actually four themes. If you pull up that document, perhaps.
Yeah. I'm missing passion, foundation, concepts, and projects.
Yeah. So, Mama, just I can a few words about that. We were
Yeah.
thinking about slowly introducing the participants into the depths of coding and system development, and we want to try as we spoke so many times now, we want to spark the passion for this and spark some interest in what can be achieved with code. So the first three meetups or three courses or something, in a curriculum could be about passion. So we want to showcase what is possible to achieve with web applications. And the first one is a really easy, straightforward overview of some, image processing, some text
Okay.
manipulation and copy and stuff like that. While the second one would be a little more advanced, and that would actually take up what we discussed earlier. Pulling info from a third-party social network, for instance, and we prepare that. And the third one would be even more advanced. Perhaps we can combine different API calls and stuff, so they can actually, see more advanced ways to work with content and manipulate images and perhaps adding some music or some other multimedia presentations. And so that is the goal with this module is not to teach them much, but rather show them what's possible, make them acquainted with the concept of being creative with code, and also introduce them to concepts like pair programming, deploying code, presenting the results, because we and we will talk about it later when we go over the way we want to conduct each workshop. But we want to include a show and tell section in each workshop, so they get used to talk about why they made certain decisions and present the results and stuff like that. So
How often were you thinking for the show and tell?
once again,
How often were you thinking to have them present?
in
The show and
every
tell.
workshop, in every workshop.
Got it. So they
Yeah.
just give the summary of kind of what they learned last time, and
Yeah, and that's also up to the instructor to pick, because if we have like 4 or 5 pairs, there will be no time for everybody to do show and tell. But on every meetup, the instructor will pick one pair of guys that can do show and tell if they if they have achieved something extraordinary, they have solved a problem, So because what we want to introduce is the concept of knowledge sharing, that if you do something that you are happy with, that you actually struggled with, it's good for you to explain to other people how you did that and share your knowledge with your peers, if you know my
Yeah.
concept.
Definitely. I think that's a great idea. We actually, part of our program, we had demo day, regular demo days scheduled. And one point that I think we're still going to keep doing demo days. So I mean, I definitely agree with this presentation aspect of it. One point that Drew had brought up when we'd spoken about this is that kids can't help but compare themselves to each other,
Mhm.
and when you have these very public sort of like demonstrations of skill, you run the risk of, like kids measuring themselves and feeling a little bit of like, lose a little bit of confidence if they haven't, progressed at the same rate or to the same level.
Mhm.
So that's just something to think. I don't think it's a preventer to these. I think the good by far outweigh the bad, and we definitely plan on doing demo days as well. It's just something to maybe think about,
Absolutely,
and
I
a
agree.
problem to figure out how to address.
And that's something up to the instructor to be very often and be very. I mean, it doesn't always have to be the brightest, the shiniest guys, but it's up to the instructor to
Sure.
even take the shy guy or girl to motivate them to do a show and tell, just because, and make them grow. And also somebody that is perhaps a little weaker, he doesn't make so great progress in comparison to the group, but in comparison to their own development, if they do something a
Sure.
big leap forward, that should be encouraged by the
Yeah.
by the
Definitely.
instructor and stuff like that, so, and also
Yeah.
even if the other guys are perhaps much far ahead and they feel, hey, this is boring to listen to, it's up to the instructor to actually create an atmosphere where we support each other. That's a challenge, and
Yeah.
and I think that's but that's a good thing. It's a good thing for the kids to learn that that's what we do. We are individual programmers, but we work in pair. But we also are members of a team, and we should support the team effort and the team progress basically. So, but absolutely, it's a very important thing you're bringing up, and it's a learning experience for everybody in that interpersonal aspect and the group team development aspect of this course.
What do you think maybe instead? So this idea just occurred to me, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Why instead of presentations, just why not do stand-ups every time, where you talk about what you're currently doing and maybe with something you're stuck on right now?
That's my point in the when we move ahead in passion, because we are the first 3 meetups, we're just introducing them to some concepts, and I was thinking that in foundation we would change that from a show and tell, but rather imitate the Scrum, because that would in those first in the first three meetups we have this instructor does a demonstration or codes away something in front of the whole group. Then the group does some programming or pseudo programming, because what they basically do is just go into the code and change some simple attributes just to see things change on the screen, and then we have the show and tell. So it's like 25 minutes each for each section, basically, roughly,
Yeah, and I think it's the presentations in the first phase or the first in passion is excellent, because everyone can do what they're supposed to in that first phase. It's not hard. It's not very challenging. Everyone produces something that looks good, and the comparisons it's all like good versus better. No one does poorly in that section really. So I think that you minimize the risk of losing confidence when you get in passions, and then shifting.
And in foundations we start with a stand-up, because what did we, what are we gonna do now, blah blah blah, and then we code away, do a lot of pair programming, and then if there is something, like somebody has done anything extraordinary, or we want to showcase something that we set up as a goal for today's meetup, then we can have a finishing off stand-up, and this knowledge transfer kind of show and tell session that doesn't need it could be more informal, but just focusing on today's achievements and stuff like that. So a little different from the first three meetups, basically.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good transition.
And so in foundations we have we start to set out goals in terms of what we want them to learn and what we want them to achieve. So we are introducing them to client-side technologies, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Some basic JavaScript frameworks, but a lot they start to code basically. They start to write their own materials. But then when we move on to if you could scroll down a little bit, Pete, when we go down to core, we are introducing concepts of writing software more than just the front end HTML stuff, web app stuff. So we just want to get our hands dirty and see what's going in under the hood. We introduce them to some database queries, explain this back end stuff, not too heavily, not too advanced. It's just to get them to know that there is stuff that is happening, as a front end, but also as a back end system for each application. And we were also talking about. Is that you? Oh, it's some announcement. Okay. We were talking about introducing them to Rails or Sinatra, the frameworks, and the language of choice of choice for us is of course Ruby, because it's the easiest language to introduce.
Excuse me.
That's what we think, at least. I know that Brian advocated for Python, right, Brian?
Yep.
But we kind of decided on Ruby, did we?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything against that.
All right.
So, what do you think, Tom?
I think Ruby is good. That's what our plan is as well. So it lines up.
Yeah. And we also plan to introduce them to some basic collaborative tools, like I mean, we work a lot with version control, and we think that a lot of people should do that. It's a good thing. But can we introduce version control to a bunch of kids? We don't know yet. We can.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
That's why we need you guys to work with us on this.
Yeah. I mean, we're asking ourselves that same question when we're planning this out. Yeah, this concepts. I mean, the structure that you're presenting kind of parallels what you've looked at what we have on the Hatch website, the 4 phases that we have.
Yeah, we
saw
chapters,
that. Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like we're approaching it in a very similar way.
I think so too. I think, and so that's why we're glad that we can overlap your way of thinking, and that we can provide some content that you can potentially use for your stuff. Because I know that you are using other third-party. I mean, you're doing Code.org and Code Academy and stuff like that right now, aren't you?
Yeah, and I'll give you I'll give you an full update on kind of what we are up to
now.
All
right, sure.
As well.
But introducing back to that point, to introduce Git, I mean, we can try to do that in a very simple manner. Just try to explain what version control is about, and then teach them the basic commands. And there are some tools that we can use without. I mean, we don't want to scare them off with too much terminal window commands, right? But for most platforms, we have graphical interface tools for uploading and making pulls and pushes to GitHub.
So are you thinking of starting them with like the GUI with GitHub, like the Mac OS native app, and then transitioning them into terminal? That might be a bridge.
We haven't decided that yet at all, but we are talking about this basically.
That's kind of what we were thinking about as well. I think it'd be easier to teach the concepts with the GUI and then to teach them the commands. It'll be interesting to see what conclusion you guys come to as well.
This is basically, but I mean, in theory, my hypothesis is that it would be easiest to teach them the GUI first, but then again, some basic terminal commands are are not that hard to grasp. You know, the Git init and you know, this setting up of Git. It could be easier to teach them basic terminal commands than actually teach them the graphical interface of a whole new tool. You know, so
That's true. That's true.
yeah, I haven't landed anywhere in this yet. I'm just, you know,
Yeah,
thinking
I
back
think
and forward basically.
that way would be a good way forward if children are comfortable with playing around with the terminal, because I think the terminal will be more intimidating if the only thing they know is Git and they still have to navigate with CD and all the other terminal related commands. So it depends how
That's a good
well
point.
versed they are with a terminal at this point.
Yeah.
I think if they have no experience with a terminal, which I don't think we'll be covering at all, we should stick with the GUI version, even though it's a bit more, complicated. But it's easier for them to grasp. It's a familiar interface.
Just for the sake of discussion, I just want to say that at this point they have been, you know, they are familiar with the concept of code and commands and stuff, you know, in their IDE or some other tool. So, you know, perhaps, and I'm just saying, I'm not making any point standing here. I'm just saying that perhaps the terminal window will not be that scary for them at this point in time when they have, you know, been through, what is it, 4, 5, 6, 7 different meetups. You know, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just thinking out loud here. So.
We might have covered the JavaScript terminal and IRB by now.
Yeah, you could sprinkle in exercises in the previous 2 phases to like introduce it in a soft way to get them familiar with it.
Right.
Well, let's have that as a you know, let's have that in the back of our heads, and when we come to that point where we're supposed to develop that content, take that into consideration. All right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the last phase in our way of thinking of Furthest curriculum is the projects phase, and that's basically where they can decide that, hey, I want to build a fan club website, or I want to make a tasks database driven whatever application, and we try to introduce every phase of project management development phase for them, but in a not too advanced way, where they can do some basic lo-fi mock-ups of their idea, some basic user stories, descriptions, code away, do a first iteration of a I don't know, agile sprint or something, but without actually introducing that terminology perhaps. And deploy their efforts after those 4 meetups when the whole process is done. So they actually have something fairly advanced to show for this course.
That's great. So how many meetups total was this? 4, 7,
well,
10?
At this point we are 15 meetups. And this is not, written in stone in any way. Just
sure.
Just some thoughts. Perhaps we can. I would like to shorten the whole thing down a little bit, and perhaps we could do 3 meetups in every phase, or give projects some more, or perhaps include projects as a parallel, track or path for the whole course, for the whole curriculum. Perhaps they should have something to work on, as their own project during the whole all meetups, basically.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Right.
And
so we. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, and so those 2 projects that you were going to show me, those are basically 2 things that would fit into the first phase of learning.
Yeah, these are in the passion section. Although okay. I have to admit, there's not very much that will ignite anyone's passion at the moment, because it's still quite rough. If I go to the Codealia Develop site, this is what we've got so far for Workshop 1. The Workshop 1 page just gives an overview of what's going to happen in the first 90-minute session. And as a resource, we give this code skeleton here that at the moment we're just copying and pasting into the code playground. Now, the code playground you've seen before, I just need to refresh. You're aware of this bug. However, you might not have seen the interactive way that the preview renders on the right-hand side. Once this is loaded. So I'm just going to paste in that chunk of HTML code that I copied from the previous page, and it immediately renders a page in the right-hand pane.
Very cool.
And I can go through and change some of the text. There's an H1 here. And as I type, the preview updates interactively. Change the size of this image.
I use the same place kitten website.
I thought it was cute for the kids.
It's perfect.
I'm more of a dog person.
I am too. I'm actually allergic to cats. I'll make an exception.
Cats are photogenic, I'll give them that, but I prefer dogs.
Lucinda, what's your feelings about cats versus dogs? This is important. Okay, she's muted. She doesn't want to take part in that discussion. Okay.
It's a controversial issue.
Uh-huh.
She made a smart choice, staying silent. Okay.
One other feature that we have in here is you can add some basic classes. So this is for the section on the right. I got background violet. I can change that to background pink and customize the colors on the page.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're thinking of introducing that as like a soft introduction to CSS. So without directly showing them CSS, we can let them add little classes which have certain properties, CSS properties, and they can sort of mix and match things. That was one of the initial ideas, at least.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think it's good. Yeah, sorry. Can you just repeat the last 2 seconds of what you said? I had to. People were moving in front of me. Got a little bit distracted for a moment.
Oh, okay. Well, what we were thinking is having declaring these CSS classes.
Can you hear me okay still?
Yep, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Hello? Okay, you can hear us, okay?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Mama, do you hear us?
I might be on a bit of a delay.
You.
Can you guys hear me okay?
But your response is delayed, yes.
Yeah, we hear you. No problem.
Yes.
Okay, there's a lag probably. Okay, so
I'm
he's
hang up and
answering
come back
questions from a few seconds ago. All right,
Yeah,
he has to rejoin, basically. Hopefully he'll be right back. Okay, so we have an acceptance on at least the partially of this higher level overview of this. Oh,
hey guys, can you hear me okay now?
We hear you.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes. Okay, can you repeat your question, please?
Oh, yeah, sure. What I was saying is one of our initial ideas was to have these CSS classes which maybe the students can mix and match into snippets of HTML and get that to change like the properties and appearance rather than introducing them to CSS immediately.
I think that's a good idea. I can't, for some reason my screen is, I can't click on either Pete or Thomas to see the share screen. I'm going to close and open real quick again, but I have a quick question when I get back.
Sure.
I need to go in 5, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Let me tab, continue.
Can you see it?
Okay, here we go, yes. Okay, so Just curious. So in this code right here, where is the CSS done? Is it between style tags in the same document, the same file?
Oh no, what you see
Reference.
on the right-hand side is an iframe, and that has its own CSS style
I
sheet.
see. I see. So they don't see any CSS on the code.
No.
No.
We have these three buttons just above the browser, but those are inactive at the moment. That was just a demonstration of the concept that there will be three separate editors for CSS, JavaScript, and HTML, but those aren't active yet.
Got it.
I need to take off in 5, so I just want to showcase the second workshop kind of where I'm not using that I'm not using that IDE, but I rather have a introductory page, and this workshop is introducing some stuff that we use with Instagram. So the first part of it is to grab your Instagram ID, that is a numeric ID basically, because in conversation we talk about this. We introduce the students to, okay, today we will be playing around with your or whoever's timeline on Instagram. So so if they have Instagram, they're going to use their own profile. If they don't, they can take a celebrity or their sister or mother or whoever. But we start with just typing in your Instagram profile name, and you get that. Hopefully, you get that back. You don't get it back. Of course you don't.
Of course.
You misspelled your name.
No, it's not that. Is it?
Sure.
It should give me a Oh, there it was that. Okay. Oh, thanks. So anyway, if you learn how to spell at the age of 43, even use your own name, so you get it back. I thought that if you get Many Thomas, yeah, okay, so all right.
Yeah, it's a simple.
Yeah. So anyway, so you make a note of this number, and in the code you place that. You have to open it in. Right now you have to open it in some IDE. We're gonna make it openable in our cloud IDE as well later on. But in the code, you place this number here on this line where you have settings.
You can do that in the browser developer console, actually.
Yeah. Oh, you can do that? All right.
Yeah.
So okay, and then what you do is you go to the second part of this tutorial, and they pull out. These are actually my photos. This is my son, and this is me on the Star Wars convention a week ago.
Awesome.
So we are just pulling out all content from my feed basically. So, and another thing that you can change here is the background in the code. You go the background tag in the same settings tag. If you change that to something else and you reload the page, the background will be different as well. So this is to show them that you can pull different content from an external service, and you can modify some other backgrounds, some other stuff like the background. And of course, one of the assignments is for you to change the content of of the texts that appear on the site. So you have this explanation here, what you're supposed to do. So this is the second part. It is more advanced because you are actually supposed to browse through the code and search for different things and change the content in the code. But you get an instant feedback on the changes you've made are giving you something back. And yeah, and we were thinking about searching for hashtags, you know, as we spoke before, but hashtags return explicit, you know, content quite often. So we settled for using you know, user IDs and their feeds because it's much easier for you for an instructor to control the content, basically.
Right.
So this is the
Okay.
idea for the second one. You know, you can change whatever here, you know, the heading and stuff like that. So
Very cool. Very cool. So let me give you guys an update on kind of the two things we have going on right now. We're still doing these workshops. The thing with the workshops, these 90-minute sessions, is that we haven't set up any kind of repeating, you know, session after session type of program yet. And that's something we're working on to hopefully as soon as we can get some more volunteers to help with the workshops because they are free. The second thing we have going on are weekly, our students are paid students. We have about 15 students right now that are paying around $100 a month to come once a week to our downtown location and learn, you know, some HTML, CSS. Let me show you kind of what we have them working through. We've been doing a couple different things, but we've finally normalized the process and. Let's see.
while you're searching for that, I got to go, guys. Mohammed, have a safe trip. I'm gonna catch the recording later on, so I won't
Sounds good.
do anything. And I see you guys around. All right.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Thomas.
All right. Thank you.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
So none of the students have actually gone through this yet. They will start going through this as of tomorrow. But most students have already completed basically somewhere between lessons 1 and 2. But to give you an idea what this looks like, so we're using a combination of things. This is what you're looking at right now is the Learn app. This is what we use to teach Maker Square students. Obviously, the classes, it's not hashed to be the immersive or the part-time or just the front end, depending on the class. But this is set up to basically for these adults to go through a much longer curriculum. So we're really experimenting with this and seeing if we can adapt it to keep work for the kids as well. So far it is, but I mean, there are definitely places that we'd like to make changes on it. But none of these clicks or anything are I mean, they're tracked as far as it remembers what you've done, but there's no kind of macro view for a teacher to see progress for students throughout the program. But it takes you through some steps. This is the X-ray goggle exercise we told you about. They go through and do this. They watch the video. Have you guys seen Drew's video?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, she's right now we're pausing videos. We're trying to find an animator or graphic designer that we can pay to kind of do this sort of, because Drew can write the script very quickly, but then it takes her like 2 days to make the video because she's not a professional graphic artist. So well, we're pausing the making of the videos right now, and really what we're using at this point. So this first exercise is a bit of an anomaly because it's has typically a little bit more stuff than we are going to have for the later exercises. But what we're doing is we're having students basically follow this pattern of working on a highly guided activity like GA dash. Are you guys familiar with GA dash?
Nope.
Not so much. I've looked at it, but I've not gone through the course.
Yeah, so let me show you what it does very briefly. So the pattern we're going to follow for the course in general is giving them a very structured, guided introduction to the content. This is that highly guided introduction, the GA dash. This is that first step. And what GA dash does, let me, let's see if I can get to, let's just go to a new exercise. What you do is it has slides, it takes you through step by step, and it literally tells you type this into the thing under there. It has very little out-of-the-box thinking of like you trying to figure it out or anything. So it'll say, yeah, set that header's background to this image, you know, and you can skip it. Header's text color to white. So it's a very highly guided process. That's kind of the first introduction to the content they have. From there, they work into a guided challenge. These are things that we've created using Thimble. And to show you what this does real quick, this kind of takes one of the crutches away. Instead of telling them just what to type and having them type, it gives them existing code. It kind of has them look through things, find patterns, and change elements based on their own design. And as soon as this loads, who knew airport internet wouldn't be super fast? So this has a tutorial on the side, taking them again kind of step by step, but it does more explanation, and it starts giving them more like independent work, like to adjust things, changing the style. It doesn't actually give them exactly what to write. It gives them more experimentation and like free design. So by the end of this, they've changed this. It's not showing the background right now. I don't know why. Anyway, they've changed this and added a little bit of content themselves, and they've customized basically it to something special for them. And the cool thing with Thimble is that you can save it and view it, and it gives you, even though it's it's hosted on their site, it gives you a live site that you can share a link with people. The third piece of what they do is the independent challenge. So what they do is they get this picture, and the mission is recreate this web page below. So now they have to, all the crutches are taken away. They're left in a blank, page in Thimble, and they have to try to do their best to recreate this. And we start off the challenges extremely simple, because there are little things that you can pick up with students. Like they'll forget how to do this little, how do you create the space here? And then you explain to them, you either use 2 paragraph tags or throw in a break, and then like they'll forget little bitty things. So we make it really simple, and then we make it slightly more complicated, and then we give them the HTML here, and then we have them here now play with the CSS. So we're including both HTML and CSS kind of early and in an integrated way, and that's what we plan on doing with JavaScript shortly after. And then we have extensions for the kids that are just really blazing through the material, and these are just remixed Thimble things that we found, Thimble projects that we found, where you can make a meme, using HTML and CSS, and that's kind of the pattern. And this is something that lesson 2 similar, and it keeps going through the things. It goes GA dash, guided challenge, independent challenge. So this is kind of what we're getting kids to go through. Most kids are kind of basically here-ish at one point at like lesson 1.5. They'll be working more through the rest of these. We've got 4 lessons up until now made. I'm going to talk with the guys at Makersquare and see what their thoughts are about just. I personally want to make these, at least the first couple lessons, just free and open to the world, and let people, discover it naturally with, no promotion from us, just having it open. I want to run it by them to make sure that they are completely okay with that to do like a limited sort of release. If they are, I'll go ahead and while we figure out how to deploy that, give you guys logins so you can go through it and take a look at the lessons and see kind of what we have planned.
Cool. Yeah.
Actually, I don't mind doing that right now. Can you guys all email me your GitHub, because you have to authenticate through GitHub. So can you guys give me your GitHub logins or your usernames, and tonight I'm going to just double check with the guys to make sure none of them freak out. But assuming it all goes like I think it will, I'll give you guys access so you can kind of explore what we're doing.
Sweet.
Sure, we'll post those into the group chat, all right?
Awesome.
I'll give you Thomas's as well.
Beautiful, thank you. So that's, what are your guys' thoughts? What do you guys think about what you see? The thing that let me give you my commentary first. I'm going to interrupt my own question. I like kind of the flow of how this is going. It gives, every user, has a model, and so we can save, we're currently saving all these clicks. So later on, we can turn this into, have a teacher view for it as well, similar to what, Khan Academy has. What I don't like is that it's jumping all over the place. So, the IDE you guys are making could really, I think, be implemented in pieces like this. I don't like having to, go to GA dash, and this is something I want to replace. I don't like having to go to even Thimble. Which is something that we've generated, but still it's just an outside source. It would be really nice to have it live all within here. That's one thing that we're running really lean. We're trying to use whatever tools out there to just create what we need at this point. But these are things that we're kind of thinking about. And the videos right now, the version of the video that you guys saw last time, I think may have had quizzes embedded in it, where it stops every so often. We haven't found a satisfying provider for that, really. Even what we were using, I forget what it was called, but I don't know. It wasn't, the way they were priced was really interesting. They priced it by the video, and either way, like, we're going to create our own JavaScript overlay, I think, to be able to prompt users and ask quizzes, and that's something that we wanted to like kind of host ourselves as well.
The video we saw, I think, ran all the way through, but it did.
Oh, it didn't have quizzes.
It felt like there was some jumps during the video, which would probably be where you inserted those quizzes.
Right. I can show you an example of what I was talking about. This was something we did as kind of like a first. It's kind of basically a wireframe of what we were thinking of doing. Video, was it here?
It's 5 minutes past, Mohammed. I hope your flight's not boarding yet.
I actually just got a text saying that my flight's delayed about 20 minutes. So
okay.
I think yeah.
Hopefully you won't be late for anything.
Yeah, I hope. Wedding's not until tomorrow, so I think it should be fine.
Oh.
So this is the program. I forget what it's called. It has little pauses, to ask questions, and it saves and tells you at the end. But this is something else we want to integrate. Just short checks for understanding, especially when they're being introduced to something through a video. It's really easy to become disengaged and distracted. Anyway, now what do you guys think now?
Yeah, I think it looks good. It aligns with a lot of what we're trying to do as well. What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, it's you having this phased build up to basically guide them through what's possible, and then get them to do more and more actual coding until you set them free on their own with write source code from scratch to look like this.
Okay. And so now that I'm seeing kind of what you guys are doing, I'm trying to think about how this can fit together, because what the projects you guys are creating could very much fit into either the type of independent or guided project that we're setting up. I mean, they're very much covering the same idea, the same concept. Slowly starting to take away those crutches in a very calculated way. So I think that's because originally we had this idea of doing these 90-minute workshops, for free and for everyone. It's a challenge to get people to commit to anything more than 1 or 2 or 3 sessions without actually getting them to pay for it. Getting people to pay for something will ensure that they're going to come as to all of those sessions. And so this paid program might be honestly a better environment to test out some of these things, just because I know that I have these 15 kids every single week, at least for the next until they decide they're sick of us. And the enrollment's going to, I think, continue to grow, and hopefully we'll have even more kids to try things out and working at different sections.
So something that you've said about the using the videos that pause and then ask a little quiz, is there something we're quite familiar with from the software engineering course on edX, where the lecturers delivered like a 5-10 minute lecture and then stopped it, and in Berkeley they're asking the students in the lecture hall to hold up different colored cards for a multiple choice question, and they've replicated that on the edX online course as well, and it's something that's been really engaging, and there's a precedent for that being very valuable, and you also get feedback from the students on whether your lectures are boring or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, just you don't have a lot of time, so just before you go, I wanted to maybe show you guys. In fact, Pete, I hope you listen in as well, because I don't think because this is just something I thought of. Um, what I want the direction of what the IDE will be, because right now what you see is you have this entire source code on the left, and then the page is rendering on the right.
Mhm.
So Thomas went off and did this thing where you have the entire page is pretty much your preview of what's going on, and then
Right.
you're supposed to go in, change little bits of it, find the settings somewhere up here, I don't know, around here, and then just change that little bit and have the whole thing refresh itself. So what I was thinking, maybe for the future of the IDs, instead of having it take up half the page, have it hidden somewhere, but then you can sort of call it out when you want to edit little bits, snippets of the HTML. So like for example, we might have, say, this whole thing here be an editable section, which you
Mhm.
can maybe you can click a little button or something, and a small IDE will pop. I mean, like a little editor will pop up. It will only show that little bit of that snippet of HTML code. Because what I've been seeing so far is that you're showing them the entire source code.
Right.
Starting from the top level HTML tag to the head and the body, all that stuff. Maybe what
It's a lot.
what for the passion, yeah, for the, like, if you want to spark their passion in things, all this boilerplate stuff, it's really just gonna go over their heads.
Yeah.
So I was
I
thinking we only
yeah I
uh,
agree. Have you seen the X-ray goggles? Have you used the Mozilla's X-ray
oh
goggles?
yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah.
So I think what I was thinking of was to replicate a bit of that functionality as well, but have them able to view and edit the source code. I mean, be a bit more involved in the editing of the the
It
be
actually
more
changes
integrated with the
things.
page. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because the X-ray goggles is like a general purpose, works on every site thing. We want it to be a bit more integrated into the
Yeah.
actual workshop.
I agree. Yeah,
That's what I
that'd
was
be
thinking.
definitely. Yeah. No, I agree with the concept to like introduce it to them, and I mean that's a much way. Our first activity, our first lesson does start with that. So yeah, 100% agreeance there.
Cool, yeah, because that's the way I'm going to be driving the development of it from now on.
I wouldn't want to lose the instantaneous feedback. I like it so you can be typing something and you see it changing in the page. That cycle of editing and then refreshing can be very slow and tedious if you're just kind of guessing at what to change.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's true.
That's not a problem to keep around. I'm just worried that if it renders in real time, it's a bit distracting when they're typing. Well, I don't know. We'll see what the feedback is.
It could be, yeah. It's distracting if you've got an open tag and that's rendering wrong. So maybe we can do some kind of filter.
Another thing to think about the half-paged the IDE where you got the two pages, the two halves of the page. You're also not getting a completely accurate idea of the width. So like the layout and everything, how it would look on an actual live site would probably be a little bit different.
Yeah, that was a challenge.
Yeah, Codeacademy or Codecademy kind of addresses this problem interestingly. They kind of have, I think it's about a third of the page is the output of the code, but it's got a little button in the top right where you can click it and it expands to the complete width of the page and shows you in a more accurate, a completely accurate view of what's going to look like.
Yeah, I think that's another idea. I was thinking of having more like a little pop-up somewhere that doesn't get in the way of the page when you're trying to, work on the code a bit. Yeah.
So you would have a floating. Sorry.
Yeah, kind of like a floating editor. Yeah, like that. So it doesn't get in the way of the page, and maybe it won't be good for a lot of code, so maybe just small snippets, but maybe that's what we want. We don't want to expose them to too much tags.
In the early stages, I agree, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
they'll more and more use the side-by-side IDE,
Right.
like
Yeah.
after as soon as they get out of Passion, or even towards the later stages of Passion.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's not a problem. This is, I mean, it's a lot easier to work with this, the split panel than having
Yeah.
the more interactive thing. So it's
So
not technically challenging to build both.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious to ask, as far as the way you guys are, there's two. It looks like there's two kind of different things you guys are working on, two different sorts of projects here. One is the IDE. One are these projects, for these lessons. I'm curious who's working on what right now, or are you all working on the same stuff?
I think at the moment I'm the one driving the development of the IDE, and it's Thomas and Pete who are building up the content. So
Got it.
Yeah, I'm trying to integrate myself with what Pete and Thomas's vision for the workshops are.
I see. Nice.
Yeah.
And Brian, I'm curious. What is your future vision for this IDE then? What other things do you see? Because having used like GA Codealia, all these sorts of stuff, I've kind of formed an idea of what would be good. And given you guys' experience with WebEx, I'm very curious to see what you think is good.
Well, the feature of this IDE, I think what I just mentioned, that little pop-up editor thing, I think it'll be much more sort of focused on the first like the whole passion segment. It won't be like a full-blown code editor.
Got it.
I'll admit that, yeah. But it's good for editing small snippets, having it render interactively, and just abstracting away all the boilerplate stuff, and just not exposing it to them till maybe the later stages.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Sure. What about for the side-by-side app? Anything beyond that, or is that kind of where you're what you thought through too?
Right. Here, well, I haven't put a lot of thought into this. Oh,
Sure.
wait, yes. There's actually another thing that I want to introduce. I want your feedback on it as well. You mentioned that children were having trouble typing these tags because of the the uniqueness of these characters that you don't come across every day, like these left and right brackets. I was thinking we could have like this GUI method of adding tags where you can either drag and drop tags, but it will output the entire HTML. Or is something like a right click and then add tag, that kind of thing. What do you think? As opposed to being just a completely typed out solution, you can also have options where you use your mouse to click certain elements and you can add those tags in.
Interesting.
What do you think?
You say, I like the idea of it, as long as it doesn't.
Mohammed, I seem to have lost your audio.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. To kind of
are you-
piggyback off of that idea, it might be good because we also.
Hmm?
Oh, can you not hear me? Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You going in and out.
Can you guys hear me?
You're in and
Hello?
out again.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think there might be another
Can
lag.
you guys hear me now?
Can you
Nope.
hear us?
Yeah. I'm going to close it.
Yeah.
Airport Wi-Fi.
Yep. Standard public.
Guys, can you hear me?
us now?
Yes.
Hi, Mohammed.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I could hear you guys, but my microphone had problems. I like the idea of assisting them in a way like that. And what you said kind of gave me an idea of how can we do that, but at the same time teach them good typing habits. And maybe instead of like a drag and drop thing, maybe it can some sort of hint of just where it is on the keyboard, just so they get better at finding it on the keyboard. Instead of like hunting and pecking, there's like maybe a little image of a keyboard and the correct two keys light up on what they need to type. But I guess that's not really, that would need to anticipate like what they want to type, which would be very challenging.
Yeah. Lighting up the keys, I don't know what you mean by that. Because,
Yeah,
that's the hardware thing. There
no,
won't be
I meant
anything.
like having like a little. Have you ever used like a Mavis Beacon like typing or any sort of typing program?
Yeah,
That's kind
there's
of what I was pointing to.
a graphical keyboard on the bottom of the screen, and the keys
Oh,
light up for the next one you need to type.
you mean that? I
Yeah,
see.
but again, yeah, that's not. I don't know if that'd be very a reasonable thing to put in.
Right. But yeah, it's something to think about, certainly.
Yeah. Interesting. A couple other things. When I was thinking about, or one of my favorite IDEs is the Dash IDE, just because it has. Let me just share it with you guys again, just for a second. You guys can see my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, I must have clicked this one. Okay, there we go.
Okay, yeah, it's coming in now.
So I really like GA dashes because it has, an area where you can, type in your code. You have, the output here, but you also have instructions up here. And this could, part of my criticism of what I'm doing in the Learn app is that everything is pretty disjointed. There's no integrated place to do everything. This does an almost perfect job of doing it because here you could have the videos, that we're showing them, where it could pause and ask them questions. Here we have, the where you do basically the Mozilla Thimble exercises, and all of it together is essentially GA Dash. The only thing left would be putting in somehow the guided exercise, which, I mean, you could have the challenge up here, like in the top left, and then they can type it out here. So GA Dash is an interesting setup to use, and maybe when you're thinking about more features for your IDE, we can kind of borrow some ideas from Dash and kind of put that stuff in there when the time comes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think obviously I don't want the editor to take up the full page. I want them to have more of the handiwork and the material than the actual code. I want to keep that minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes. I'll have a look at those.
The way it looks.
Yeah.
The way it looks is a challenge in itself, like making it a very cool, presentable way. But
yeah.
Just the concepts that they have in there, it's nice.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely try and get some inspiration from their design.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, I need to, I think, go towards my gate at this point.
Yeah, we'll let you go, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I want to try to do is figure out exactly how I can, or when we can try out this first exercise. When do you think the workshop one? Tomorrow might be pushing it, but next Saturday we have kids coming in. The challenge is going to be at this point, like some of these kids are going to be ahead, like at least the 15 recurring kids are going to be ahead of kind of where we're at with this introductory passion stuff, or at least the very beginnings of it. They're already writing, HTML and CSS and separate style sheets, and have gone kind of pretty deep into both HTML and CSS. And some of them are starting with JavaScript, even after a few sessions. It's kind of incredible. So maybe we can use it either with new students that are starting. We're averaging maybe like 2 to 3 students a week that are signing up now that we've been marketing it. We can try that with the new students, or on the 10th, so next Saturday, we have a 90-minute workshop. So that might be a good place to try it out.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll definitely try to kind of put something together by then. What do you think, Pete? You think we can make something by then?
I'm not sure, but based on our progress so far, which has been a little bit slow, I'm hesitant to promise anything for next Saturday.
Sure, and that's fine. I mean, we're going to have these workshops will be bi-monthly or bi-weekly at the latest. So we might even have more than one every other weekend. We might do them more often. And then we have the students coming literally every week, so there'll be opportunities to try them out once you guys are ready.
All right, cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't have a lot of time to be able to commit to the development, so I have to, at least during the weekends, try and train a couple of other people up to take over.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and we'll have to pace ourselves. But
Yeah.
definitely we want to get some production code released that you can start using.
Awesome. That sounds good.
Cool.
All right, guys. You'll send out the link to the video or to the recording later today.
And I'll send
Yeah.
you those GitHub user IDs as well.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you. Yeah, I lost the chat after I had closed a few times, so if you
Oh,
could just,
okay. Yeah.
that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
Pete, you can email him or
I'll copy-
me and
yeah.
Thomas's ID. Cool. Excellent.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Have a safe trip then. All right.
All right. Take
Yeah,
care.
good flight.
You too. Bye bye. Cool.
Okay, that's
So
great.
what do you think?
Yeah, really, a hugely more productive meeting than I thought it was going to be. Based
Yeah.
on what we had so far, but there's loads of ideas that come out of this. I've tried to get some minutes ordered at the bottom of the agenda. Maybe I can clean that up a bit and get those a bit more solid later on.
Yeah. Lucinda, you've been awfully quiet. Are you still there? Muted. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Well,
So,
Pete, is there anything else you want to discuss? I actually wanted to discuss a bit more of the marketing side with Viv, but she's not around, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Viv's a bit shy about coming to client meetings. we'll have to work on that.
Oh, yeah, we've got to drag her in. I think her
Yeah.
input is valuable. Yeah, I was hoping she'd make it. Okay. Anyway.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording there.
Okay. Cool.
Unless there's any other business.
No, not for me. I'm good with carrying on with my planning and development of the IDE.